Hello and welcome to Living the Reno in our kitchen renovation series. With all the cabinets installed and our countertop appointment booked, we now have to get our farmhouse sink installed before they can come to get measurements. So that's what we're going to tackle today.
The only thing that we wanted to keep from our old kitchen is the farmhouse sink. The sink is exactly 24 inches wide, so normally you would get a 30 or a 32 inch cabinet so that the sink fits. Unfortunately, to keep the sink centered with the window and to allow space for the corner cabinet, we could only have a 24 inch sink cabinet. This is going to require some modifications to the cabinet to make it all work, so fingers crossed we don't screw up the only cabinet that we have. After some careful measurements, we figured out where the sink would sit in the cabinet and added about 3/4 of an inch to accommodate for the wooden base. We added painter's tape before making our cuts to make sure the cabinet face doesn't chip, and we are using a finished blade on our saw for the best cut. We are cutting up some leftover plywood to make a nice solid base for the sink. The countertop will sit directly on the edges of the sink, so we are setting the base slightly lower than required to allow the installer some wiggle room. It is better to be a bit too low and be able to shim up the sink than have the sink sitting too high and having to recut the entire cabinet to make it fit. We are cutting a hole for the drain to go through the plywood base and also cutting a bit more off the back to allow room for the faucet and water lines. We are installing a cover panel to the side of the cabinet that will end up being the edge of the dishwasher opening. It will also add more support to the sink cabinet since we cut a large chunk out of it. This is quite a challenge to get everything level with the cabinets, floor, and the sink height. Extra support is needed when installing a farmhouse sink as the sink weighs quite a bit. Then of course we add a ton of water. Silicone is not going to hold it and there are no undercounter supports. We use 2x4s to add support for the sink. We also installed blocks underneath the cabinet itself to transfer the weight directly to the floor. It's nice to finally see the sink set into its new home. Our farmhouse sink is a Fireclay sink, which makes it not exactly straight or level, kind of like the rest of our house. It took quite a lot of tweaks to make sure this was as level as possible. While we were at it, we are also installing the other cover panel for the dishwasher. This is to make sure the doors of the cabinets in the dishwasher don't hit each other. It just adds a little bit of space. Now it is time for the plumbing. We need to install new water shutoff valves and add some for the dishwasher and for the fridge water line. As far as the drain goes, we are finally installing a proper P-trap. The old sink didn't have a P-trap directly underneath it. It shared one with the laundry sink below down in the basement. This made it insanely loud. We were also thinking ahead when we decided to add an air admittance valve. Currently the drain runs to a large double basin laundry sink in the basement below. Down the road we want to change out the laundry sink to a one basin sink, and adding this vent now will save us headaches later down the road. Sometimes these aren't legal, so if you are installing one, make sure to check out your local building codes. We are also adding the necessary hookup for the dishwasher drain line. Now that all the glue fumes have settled, we have all the drains set up. We are just pressure testing the sink and the drain to make sure that the sink holds water and that the drains are leak-free. For the sink, this is all we can do until our countertop is installed, and then we can actually hook up the faucet and have a working kitchen sink again. Stay tuned for the next video in this series. We'll be installing our island, dishwasher, built-in microwave, and a ton more. If you haven't subscribed and like these videos, make sure to do so you don't miss out.